We're live.
And welcome everyone. Today is July 7th. This is our full council meeting. Would you stand with us as you are able to begin the meeting with Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Britnoff, would you do a roll call, please?
Ms. Chester. Here. Mr. Fisher. Here. Dr. Fisher. Here. Ms. Primer. Here. Ms. Neal. Here. Mr. Michelson. Present.
Excellent. I'd like to make a change to the agenda to have an executive session immediately prior to the executive committee report. And so I would ask for that amendment on the agenda. I'm presuming everyone else has seen the agenda. Otherwise, is there any other requests for amendments, or is there a motion to go ahead with that executive session?
For the purposes of what now?
Sorry, for the purpose of personnel.
Move to accept the agenda as amended.
Is there a second? Sounds like no executive session. Is there interest in having an executive session concerning matters of personnel at a different placement in the meeting?
We don't know what we're talking about. So.
Okay. We had a threatened lawsuit today against the village, and I would like to bring all the council members up to date on that.
In which case it would be a executive session to discuss personnel and litigation.
Oh, I'd like to hear.
We have, so we had a motion, failed for a second. Is there a subsequent motion?
All right, just move it to the very end at the meeting. Sorry, was that what you were gonna say?
I was just asking for clarification if the mayor was putting forth the second motion, an amended motion.
Yeah, so I'd amend it to say matters of personnel and litigation.
And you'd still like it for executive?
Yeah, I'd like it before all the committee reports because it affects committees' reports.
So I'll make a motion to add to the agenda and accept the agenda as amended in executive session for the executive committee report for matters of employment, the matters of what? Employment and litigation?
No, personnel
Personnel
and litigation.
and litigation.
Second was from who? All those in favor?
Aye.
Without objection, I'll take that as unanimous. Thank you. We have a guest speaker, very honored to welcome our Hamilton County Auditor, Jessica Miranda, who will be speaking about what's going on in her section of the world. And we're going to do that first before we move on with the rest of our council. So thank you and welcome for being here.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. And thank you, honorable council folks of the Village of Gulf Manor, for allowing me to come and steal a little part of your meeting here. So we have embarked on what we're calling very illustriously our auditor, if you will, across the entire county, because I feel it's just very important whenever there is a change in leadership in any one of our elected offices. I feel it's important for me to be out, be present in communities, help educate on what our office does and maybe a little bit about what we don't do. And just let you all know that we run a strict ship on an open door policy. So if you ever need anything, as I just heard in your previous committee meeting, there's lots of talk about sending things to and from the auditor's office. So we stand as a county partner with you in this business we call government, and wanted to give you this presentation tonight. So thank you again for the time. I have with me, just so you know who is right here, this is Willow Lopez. She is our Community Engagement Coordinator at the Hamilton County Auditor's Office, which is a brand new department in the Auditor's Office. I'm very, very proud of that. Willow is most recently from former Senator Sherrod Brown's office here in Cincinnati. So we scooped her up very quickly, and she is responsible for this wonderful, beautiful presentation you're about to see. So I'll just get going. Okay, you all, a little bit about me. This always throws me off as the first page of the presentation, but I am Jessica Miranda, currently serving as your Hamilton County Auditor. Prior to this, I served 5.5 years in the Ohio State House, which honestly probably feels more like 50 years in State House annual time. But I learned a great deal about local government funding and the history of that here in our great state, and about the unconstitutional nature still of our public school funding model. So learned a lot there by crafting or helping craft the biennium budget for a few terms, and served as the minority party whip for a few years in the leadership team. Prior to that, I was a local school board member, so I am no stranger to local service, like the service you all are putting forth here in the village. So I have a nice wealth of knowledge surrounding all levels of government, local, state, and now county. First, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the auditor's responsibilities. Please know that this list is actually very, very small compared to what all your county auditor does for you and the people of our fine county. Think of us as your chief financial officer of the county. We are paying all of the county's bills in every county department. We are also the payroll officer for the county's over 5,000 employees. We're cutting all of those W-2s on an annual basis, and we make sure that the county's budget is in tip-top shape, as well as all of our locals and school districts as well. We are 1/3 of the county's Board of Revision, and also 1/3 of the County Budget Commission. And we run the administration of a few different programs provided by the state. First and foremost, I have a slide that goes a little bit deeper into this, but please know that we understand that a lot of municipalities around the county are running their own rental registration program, if you will. But your county auditor is the statutory agent for rental registration, so that we can keep our books as transparent as possible. It's important that all landlords file their rental registration with the county auditor. We also run 2 tax credit programs that the state allows for, which is the homestead exemption and the owner occupancy credit. So when people are talking about how can I get my property taxes lowered, what we can help with in the auditor's office are these 2 programs right here, which are 2 state-approved programs: the homestead exemption for those who are 65 and older, and the owner occupancy credit for those who actually live in the home that they own. Fun fact, we are also the dog licensing folks, so every canine in the county should be getting their dog licensed every year, or there's an opportunity to buy a permanent license as well. I'd like to think back in the 1800s, when county offices were being created, they had a bucket of things and they didn't know where to put them. And they said, oh, just give it to the auditor. And so we are left with this kind of mixed bag that touches almost everything that we all do here in the county. And then, of course, weights and measures. I do love to talk about this because I like to look at this as our consumer protection wing of the auditor's office. You all have probably went to fuel up your vehicle and you've seen our seals on the gas pumps. My team is making sure that you are actually getting the gallon of gas that you're paying for and you're not getting shorted. Likewise, in the grocery store or your local farmer's market, we are testing all of the weights in every one of those establishments. So making sure that that deli pound of turkey is actually a pound of turkey and you're not getting gypped by the corporations. So we love that.
At least not on the way.
Yeah. And I'm happy to report that this team of folks in the auditor's office is a strong team of 3 dedicated, hardworking civil servants, one of whom has never missed a day of work in his entire 30-year career. I think he's been in the auditor's office for 3 decades, hasn't missed one day of work. So they are dedicated, out there protecting all of the consumers of our county. So obviously we serve the community, but we don't do it all. I love to point out that, county auditors administer all of these things as outlined in state statute. So we have to follow the law very closely. And we have many responsibilities, but we don't do everything. So we are not the ones collecting your property taxes. That's the county treasurer, Treasurer Schiller. We do not manage deeds to properties. That's the county recorder, Scott Crawley. And we don't provide surveys and maps. That's our county engineer, Mr. Beck. And we certainly do not make abatement policy or any other type of tax policy. As you all, as locally elected officials, know, that happens here in your local political subdivisions or at the state government level. And the auditor's office works in values, not taxes. We are statutorily obligated to do not only mass reappraisals of our entire residential, industrial, commercial base here in our county. So we work in values. Tax policy is set by the state and your locally elected officials. So this essentially means if your value of your property goes up or down 5%, that does not necessarily mean that your property taxes follow. It just depends on what, if any, tax credit programs you have allocated to your specific property, or what types of levies are approved in your respective local municipality, combined with state taxes as well. Oh, we were doing so good. Oh, here it goes. Okay, so we want to provide a 3-area comparison to kind of back up that previous slide, right? So we have pulled a parcel, and when I say parcel, I'm just referring to a property. That's a residential property. We pulled one in Cincinnati, Green Township, and the city of Sharonville. As you can see, all of these parcels are valued at about the same, a little over $236,000 is the value of all 3 of these properties. But you'll notice there on the bottom, very light green line, that the current property taxes on these properties, although they are the same value, is very, very different depending on where they're situated in the county. So in the city of Cincinnati, they're paying a little over $5,000. In Green Township, they're paying a little over $4,000, and in the city of Sharonville, a little over $3,000. So this is almost the most perfect exhibit that I could point out here about how just because, you know, maybe my neighbor and I, or my cousin lives in Anderson Township, I live in Forest Park, we could have very, very different property tax liabilities based on where we live. All right, here is our schedule for real estate and reappraisals. Again, Ohio law dictates these cycles. We have 88 counties in our state. We don't all reappraise at the same time. I think that's a common misconception, where all 88 counties are not going at the same time doing our mass reappraisals and our triennial updates. It happens on a shift. So basically, our cycle begins with the reappraisal and reevaluation of all properties. Just for some complexity here, we have over 350,000 parcels in Hamilton County. That is all of our residential properties, commercial properties, and industrial properties. It is our job, our civil servants that work in the auditor's office, to reappraise these every 3 years and every 6 years. So just so you know, if you get questions from your constituencies, our last mass reappraisal was in 2023, meaning taxes payable for last year, 2024. Our next update will be the triennial update, which is every 3 years, and that will happen next year in 2026. And this triennial update is a lot less strenuous than the every 6 years mass reappraisal. This is looking at sales and sales ratios of properties all across our county, just to make sure that we are keeping the most transparent and accountable tax database we can for you and therefore the people of Hamilton County. And then the last line there, our next mass reappraisal will be in 2029, just so everyone can prepare for that. We also bring you some big announcements. As you all probably know, we had a longtime county auditor here in Hamilton County, Auditor Dusty Rhodes. He held this office for 32 years. And my dear friend Bridget Kelly had about a little over a year to do what she could with this office before her untimely passing. And so our website has been the same for 33 years, maybe 33 years plus. So we thought it was time for a relaunch and a nice update for our website. And so we have started only with the home screen so that it's not, you know, jarring to everyone and no one's freaking out calling our phones all day long saying they can't find what they need. But I want to point out a few things here. First and foremost, we've added a translation tool with over 100 languages. Fun fact, the Hamilton County Auditor's website gets about 100,000 people that visit it in every, is that a month? Is that every month? I think that's every month. Yeah, and people visit our website from over 120 different countries. So this translation tool is very important. The second thing that's very important for the new homepage is the accessibility plugin. This is actually federal law. By 2026, all government and public websites have to have this. So you can literally click on it and it can put this website in dyslexia font. It can put it in a light mode, a dark mode. It can do a number of different things to meet everyone's needs in the accessibility community. And then last but certainly not least, we have added a search bar. So just in case this homepage makeover is too jarring for folks who are used to using this website every day, you can type into the search bar whatever you're looking for and it will find it everywhere that it exists on our website. The second thing we have done on the website is we've revamped the Board of Revision page. When I was appointed to this office, we were right in the middle of a Board of Revision season. And it became very, very clear to me that constituents needed some more help understanding what the Board of Revision is, how they file their complaint, what the deadline is for the complaint. So we have created a video series. You see one of them presented there. There's a total of 3 different videos that help educate the community on what the Board of Revision process is, what those deadlines are, and where they can find the necessary forms and resources. And something that I really, truly love, just because I'm a nerd about websites, is it will pop up a pop-up box and say, did you read the directions? Before folks get the chance to fill out the Board of Revision complaint form. So everything they might need is on the website if they would take the time to take a look at it and read that there. But we've also created videos, and for the first time in Hamilton County history, we actually have social media pages for the Hamilton County Auditor's Office. So that's also pretty historic as well. We're trying to get information out to the community and our shared constituencies as best as we possibly can, which is utilizing every way that we can. And then last thing about the website, I will say is, our website, to give Auditor Dusty Rhodes the credit he so deserves, he was way ahead of his time in putting our website together. And when I say to you that I truly believe our website is the gold standard, I stand behind that. The other 87 counties in our state look to our website for what to do for their property search functions and various other things. So we're proud to kind of wear that crown and do some innovative things to stand out and maybe help other counties turn that tide as well. So every parcel, as I mentioned, over 350,000 of them in our county, can be searched on our website. And there is a plethora of information that you can find here. My favorite one, of course, is this beautiful and colorful pie graph. What is this pie graph, you may ask? Well, this is every cent that any person pays for their property tax liability. This shows them where every cent of it goes and who it goes to. You will always notice that if it's a residential property, the biggest piece of the pie is, of course, going to be their local school district. Why? Because school funding is still unconstitutional here in the great state of Ohio. So that's obviously going to be their largest portion. But every other levy that has been voted upon for any given property is there in full color and dollars and cents. So everyone, our website is completely accountable and transparent as to where every dime of taxpayer dollars is being sent. And then we also have a ton of website tools and downloads on our website. I wanted to just point out here for you, since we did talk about the rental registration program, that those forms are available on the downloads portion of our website, and so much more as well. Okay, so I kind of already covered this on that first slide, but just one more time, because we're really trying to send this home for folks around the county, just in case folks have forgot. It's great if your local municipality also does a rental registration program, because they do need that information as well. But we are the statutory agents for rental registration. It is the law. If you are a landlord in Hamilton County, you do have to file a rental registration form with our office. I'll go a step further and talk about why this is so important and why we're kind of on this crusade of information, if you will. We had to do a press release last summer, so about a year ago this time. We had a bunch of folks contacting our office asking for contact information for landlords because they had just gotten cheated out of their money. They were asked to pay a down payment in their first month's rent. Come to find out that those were not even landlords of that property, or that property was not even a rental property, period. So we would like to be partners with all of you here in Gulf Manor to try to make sure that our records reflect the most accurate information. So you can go to that property summary function on our website, and it will clearly say yes or no whether or not we have a rental registration on file, and it will have the landlord's contact information. So just one of the latest scams that's been going on around the community, and we'd like to put a stop to that so that consumers do not get taken advantage of. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to speak to you all about is a little bit more detail about the 2 tax credits that we can administer for people of Hamilton County, which is the homestead exemption and the owner occupancy credit. I'm going to ask you all for your help in the next slide after I talk about this for a little bit, because as you all know, I do have state house experience. So we have introduced many, many pieces of legislation over the past 14 or so years to try to make the homestead exemption better, working better for the people that need it most in our county, which are our elderly Ohioans or our senior citizens. This exemption is only available for 65 years and older. However, a lot of folks don't know or realize that that's not the only qualification any longer. It now has an income qualification. So you have to make less than a certain number, a certain amount to qualify for this. And this has knocked a lot of people off of the program. Some folks were grandfathered in, but due to folks moving around, it's knocked a lot of people off the program. Long story short, this exemption is not getting the kind of bang for people's buck that it used to. And if you wouldn't mind helping me help you, and contact your state representative and state senator and let them know how important this homestead exemption is, because I think what we have come to find out with the most recent data is that the folks who are impacted the most about the rise in property taxes is our elderly Ohioans or our senior citizens, who typically tend to live on a more fixed income than most folks. And I don't have to tell you all, locally elected officials, why these folks matter in our communities. They are pillars of our communities. And it could have been literally the easiest thing that the state legislature could have done in this last budget, where they were working on property tax reform. I will use air quotes. They could have indexed this for inflation that actually mattered. They could have taken away the income restrictions on the homestead exemption. And either of those things would have proved to be actual property tax relief that folks would feel on their bottom line, other than what just came out of the budget cycle this June. So please, if you have a good relationship with your state rep or state senator here in Gulf Manor, please let them know how important this is to not only this village, but the folks who live here. And if we're both advocating for the same thing, maybe we stand a better chance of actually getting some real reform done for people. And then the last thing is the owner occupancy credit. This is a real estate tax credit available to homeowners that live in their primary place of residence. Again, on our property summary page, you will clearly see on any property in the county, it will say yes or no, whether or not that person lives in their home and is receiving that exemption. So please encourage your residents here in Gulf Manor to check that. If they do qualify or think they do qualify for the homestead exemption, please ask them to check that as well. And they are more than welcome to contact our office, as are all of you, should you ever need anything for the residents of your community. And then I said earlier that we've done some pretty historic changes, one of which is we finally have social media landing pages for the Hamilton County Auditor's Office. We are on 3, technically 4 social media platforms. So that's our handle for Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you aren't already following us, please make sure you do. We're sending our press releases out and anything else that comes out from our office on those platforms as well. We also have a YouTube page for the series of videos that we've been doing. And there is definitely more videos to come from that. And I just want to thank you all again for your time and for allowing us to come and make a stop here on our audit tour as we go across the whole county. And of course, I'm available for any questions that you may have, but please know you can contact us anytime and we stand at the ready to help you in our shared constituencies.
Excellent, thank you so much. I do have a couple questions, but I'm going to open it up to the rest of the council. If they have questions for the auditor.
Appreciate it. Appreciate what you're doing, and this was very nice.
Good, thank you for that feedback.
I have a question about enforcement of the rental registration. I'm thinking, we're going around looking at the rental properties that you have on your website, but we're seeing maybe a property that doesn't look like it's on there. How is that enforced? I mean, we go to you and we say, hey, it doesn't look like these guys have registered. What kind of
Yes.
enforcement do you have?
Yes, that's exactly right, Mayor. Please do that. Please contact us as soon as possible, and a member of my real estate team will identify that property and make sure we have the necessary contact information to change that, if it is in fact a rental registration property. I will tell you that the fee that we can assess is $150.
Okay.
If we do find out that it is a rental property and they didn't have the proper form on file, so that is the way in which we can enforce that.
I have some follow-up questions that concerning that, because I don't want to, but I have some follow-up questions concerning that.
Right, and keep in mind too, just to expand on that a little bit, Mayor, we don't charge, there's no charge to file the rental registration form as the statutory agent here in Ohio. But I do understand and realize other local municipalities have started their own program that does carry a fee.
Okay.
So, for instance, I'm thinking of the city of Reading. They now have started their own program where they assess a fee. They have the authority to do that. We don't charge a fee, but folks cannot just file with the city of Reading and then think that they're done. They must also file with the county auditor's office. So we're working to try to open up these lines of communication with all of the municipalities so that we can make sure all of our T's are crossed and I's are dotted.
So I'm presuming by what you stated before is that we could not, because you have the authority, we could not tack on a fee for failure to register with you guys. We'd have to have our own.
That would be a question for your fine solicitor over there. I'm not quite sure on what the gray area is on that, so. But hey, Ohio is a home rule state where they feel like it, so.
Yeah, they feel like it, right. All right.
Find that out first, though.
The other question that I had, and pardon my ignorance on this, I know that you referred to your department being a third of the Board of Revision. Can you just give me a summary of what Board of Revision is again?
Yes. So if there is any constituent property owner anywhere in Hamilton County that does not agree with any value that our office has assessed for their property, they have the authority under Ohio law to file a complaint about that. It's called a program, if you will, which means the entire staff just for the operator of this program. The other two folks that sit on the board is the county treasurer and whomever is the president of the county commission designees as well. Typically, sometimes those designees change every year. We have gotten lucky this year. We have a little bit of continuity of designees to the Board of Revision. It is a lot of work, as you can imagine. It is done on a case-to-case basis for every single complaint that is filed. And I will say, just to toot our own horn a little bit further, we finish every single Board of Revision case in Hamilton County when we are supposed to by the end of every year, December 31st of any given year. That doesn't happen in all counties. So I think that is something to be proud of for the way in which our Board of Revision operates, so that we can make sure that we are carrying the necessary integrity, but the timeliness of what property owners expect. So that's our role in it. And we work really, really closely with the county treasurer and the county commission to make sure that that process works as efficiently and effectively as possible.
Excellent, thank you. So I had an experience early on when I've been a homeowner here in the Gulf Manor for a little over 15 years now. And like 2 years in, maybe a year in actually, I got a letter saying this is like your property value assessment. And I was like, but we just bought this house and we bought it at a much lower, amount than what this was saying. So it has some forms I could fill out. Was that you guys that I was dealing with when I did that? Okay,
Yep,
cool.
that's
But
right.
it all turned out really well, by the way.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, like I said, we stand at the ready to help every single person that has any questions or concerns about that process or any others that fall under our umbrella.
Great, thank you so much again.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
we have your contact information if anybody wants to follow up that doesn't have a question at this time.
Great.
I'd just like to say, Auditor Miranda spoke about the homestead credit. And we talked about this, I think, in council as well as the last executive session, where when we applied for the free food pantries, the grant for that, we looked at the health data, and now we have access to even more health data to understand that the most vulnerable folks in our community living in poverty is our elderly, right? So this is like another reminder of why it's important to push out the messaging on the homestead credit, because that's our food insecure population, like that's our most vulnerable. And this is
Excellent.
an opportunity to help, so.
Very good.
And we have a community engagement team that we can be helping us with engagement around that. So yeah, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Is that something that the 513 relief bus also supports, if we could get them to come back out to the village?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, we have them scheduled or we're working on having them scheduled actually around a fall event.
Perfect.
Coming up. Yeah.
Perfect. It takes all of us at all levels of government. So thank you all for having us. We
Thank you
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Highlight, thank you.
Feel free to stay.
Right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep, you too, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. We don't have anyone else that's registered to speak to the council, so we're moving on to minutes to be approved. These are minutes from the June 9th council meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those? Do we have a motion to approve or amend?
I reviewed them, I think they're fine, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Anybody else? All right.
The only thing I'll say is on the executive committee report, I can see here you put a brief synopsis, but it's been just stated like see attached report, but then nothing's ever been added to the website, even when I submit them, so. It's not an update for this, but like if we could actually get those on there.
So I
Or
can,
paste it into,
I can potentially add them to the minutes.
Okay.
I can try and do that.
or even as a like attachment at the bottom of the minute, something, because it's,
It would just be another page in the minutes.
yeah, because we just keep saying see,
Yeah.
see report, but it's not actually on the website. Nothing's been updated since March.
There's no way to just make that a link within it to the,
It
I'm
has to
still
live on the
learning
website.
the
Still learning.
WordPress
Okay.
website.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's not my focus, but something that I can definitely spend some time and learn how to make that happen.
I can help you with that. I know how to do that.
We can talk, we can offline that.
Well, with that said, then, the contract for the village app, I've asked for that to be placed online too.
So that should be in the minutes
Should
From this meeting?
From this meeting.
I would
for
say
the previous-
June,
of the
but
June minutes.
I didn't see it in June. I can
I
go back
put
and
it up
check.
earlier
Okay, I
today.
believe you. I'll go back and
It
check.
is attached.
It's attached to
Okay,
this
good.
meeting. It was not originally, and then when you,
When we
asked
talked
that.
about earlier
so
today.
that's what I would do
Let me
with
look now.
the
That's
executive.
great.
All right, because I just looked for the other correction about the,
I'll just say that sometimes ability to do so. So I'm just,
yeah.